Life is unfair, life is unkind, life is stressful, life is good things never last in life is boring, life is just unfair, life is unkind. All of those things are lies. Hello, my name is Rafa Gottloff, and my job is to teach life lessons in a way that can be simple and everybody can understand it and digest it easily. On today's edition, I'll be talking about the fact that life is fair, and I'll be showing you 4 reasons why life is very, very fair. The first reason why life is fair is that life is governed by rules. And so it's rule governed. For example, if you take actions to move your life forward, your life is going to move forward. If you work hard, accumulating wealth and accumulating things comes from consistent hard work over a long period of time. If you put in the hard work, the results are going to come. There's a saying that life owes you nothing, but if you put in the work, rules that govern life are not discriminatory, meaning that they don't choose one person, or they don't like you because of your skin color, or they don't like you because of your height or anything. Anybody who works hard, whether you're short or tall, whether you're dark or fair skinned, if you work hard enough, then the results come. They say when you're prepared, it becomes easy for you to grasp opportunities because you're already prepared. So if you prepare yourself and you work hard on yourself and you develop other things and you keep pushing your life forward, you might not go as fast as you want to go, but you get there someday, and you get there faster than someone who is procrastinating and someone who is not doing anything with their life. So it's important that you plan and you push forward. Life is governed by rules. That's what is fair about life. Okay? What can I say? You're cooking food and you put a lot of salt in it, it's going to taste salty. You're cooking food and you put a lot of pepper in it, it's going to be very peppery. Okay, so it's rules. You do 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. Those are mathematic rules and things like that. They don't change. Rules don't change in life. So don't do things in a way that do not promote or push forward your dreams and your aspirations, and you expect to have results. That's why life is fair. Life is fair if you follow the rules. Hard work leads to success. You work hard, you're going to get there someday. You have to follow rules. That's one thing that shows you that life is fair. If you play by the rules, majority of the times you're going to get there, unless it's unforeseen circumstances or chance or your fate or your destiny or whatever. But life is rule governed, and so life is fair. The next thing about the fairness of life is that life is a competition, but the competition is not an unfair competition because every one of us is unique. Okay? How can I explain this? Every one of us is unique, and so all our fingers are not equal. Okay, this one is short, this one is a little taller, this one is very tall, but all of them have their unique use. If you cut this one off because you think it's very short, then you cannot grab something well. Okay, every finger has its own use, so you need to be very careful and understand. Instead of competing and comparing yourself with other people, focus on yourself and find out what is unique about my own self. Okay, I'll give a tangible example, and I'll talk about just myself. I grew up, people hated my voice. They're like, oh, your voice sounds like a girl's voice, and I really don't like you, and I blah, 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 blah. I went to journalism school, and in our batch, we had like 300 plus students, and they said that you could not host a radio or TV program at the school radio for more than a month or 2 because you had to give opportunity for other people to host. I went on radio, and my producers kept me there for more than a year hosting programs. Why? Because my voice was unique. It became a voice where people would call. If we had calling programs, they'd be like, good afternoon, ma, good evening, ma. I'm like, it's a guy's voice. So all of that strangeness to my voice, it's like they say your wahala brings breakthrough to you. The same thing that people insulted became a unique selling point, to the extent now that if I walk into a room or if I have a phone conversation with somebody even once, they remember my voice. Everybody says it like, Rafa, we know your voice. I host an event, you stand from afar, you listen to somebody talking and you're like, that's Rafa. So find your uniqueness, and sometimes it might be something that people didn't necessarily like while you were growing up and things like that, but find your uniqueness instead of competing and comparing. I've heard people say, look at my friend, we sat in the same class, we sat on the same bench, and we did the same things together, we grew up together, and this one is here, and this one has traveled out of the country, and this one has done this, but I've done nothing with my life. Life owes you nothing. And let me just tell you that people do different things with their lives at different times. And the fact that you might be seeing them posting things on Facebook and on social media, sometimes it's just pictures that have been edited, and they select the best pictures where they look most happy and things like that, but they are in crazy relationships. Maybe their marriage is not working, maybe the money they're claiming that they have is not as much as you think, so it's a complicated situation. You cannot be comparing yourself, and everybody's unique in their own way. If you discover all of your uniqueness, you discover that you don't have no need to be competing with people, and the only person that you need to compete with, it should be yourself. You should compete with yourself to make yourself a better version of yourself every day. Okay, that's very, very important. Life is fair. Life becomes unfair when you start comparing yourself with other people. Okay, you want to become, say, a model, and you're short. You don't have the shape of a model. You're not muscular like a male model and things like that. You're fighting a lost battle. So focus on things that are your selling points and work on them instead of competing yourself with other people. And then you just discover that life is fair. Life is fair. The fact that you sat on the same bench with somebody in school don't necessarily mean that all of you have the same life path. Okay, so stop comparing yourself with the school you went to and the person you sat with. It's not a fair game. Focus on your uniqueness and move forward. The third point about the fact that life is fair is that life is unfair to everyone. Good things and bad things happen to everybody. You don't believe me? I'm going to tell you a story. So my elder sister died. She's the first child of my mother. She died at the age of 23, and she had just graduated from university 7 months earlier. So 7 months after school, she dies. And my mother cries. I felt she was going to lose her own life. It was crazy. So this situation happens, and she gets buried. And I go now back to school. And about 2 months later on, I think the husband of a friend dies at university, and we went there to share our condolences. We went there to help out at home and things like that, because it was a close friend. We helped out at home and all of that, and I was hungry, and my friend was just so stressed out. She would not eat. She was just in dire need of comfort, and even when you comforted her, she was inconsolable. She was not able to be consoled. So it was a painful situation, and it brought back memories of my sister who had died and things like that. And I was like, I just told the people around and our family members, like, give me food, let me eat. And other friends were like, Rafa, why are you suddenly so happy and you're eating and I'm like, yeah, I'm not the person who killed the person who died. This does not look like a good thing to say, but it's the truth. We all go through hurts at different times, and the fact that you're going through hurt now does not mean that I won't go through mine tomorrow. And the fact that you're going through now, and sometimes they tell people who are going through pains and hurts and crises that, like, don't cry, don't cry. I always tell people, after my sister died, and now tell people, cry. If you need a shoulder to cry on my shoulder, but cry, because all those tears, they wash your soul. And there's nothing wrong with feeling grief. There's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with feeling the pain. Okay, so life is fair because, good and bad things happen to us equally. Life throws good and bad things to you equally. If you've not gone through pain and trauma where you lost somebody in your life, or you lose a loved one or anything like that, if you've not gone through it in your earlier ages, baby boy, baby girl, I promise you go through it when you get older. And while you're going through it, don't make it look like I owe you the responsibility to just take the pain away. Sometimes you need to let things go through with time. You need to let time heal those wounds, because with time the pain reduces. The pain is still there, but it reduces with time and things like that. And we need to allow you to grieve. We need to understand that good and bad things happen even to the best of us. And the fact that somebody is driving a luxury car, the fact that somebody looks like they're living well, don't necessarily mean that they don't have problems. They might not be your kind of problems, but they're problems still. The last thing to know that life is fair to all of us is that we all die. You're rich, you die. You're poor, you die. You're sexy and just cute, you die. You're ugly, you die. Everybody dies. Life is fair. That's the only way you exit this world, by dying. So you cannot focus so much on life and you're like, oh, my life is special, my life is that, oh, my life is unfair, my life is... Everybody's going to die. If you live your life understanding that someday you're going to die, then you'll not be grabbing on physical things, you'll not be grabbing on material things, you'll be struggling to contribute into the lives of other people, you'll be struggling to help people and really write your name in memory. And the only way to do it is to contribute to people's lives and, make people's memories that they have with you worthwhile. You will not be treating people cruel just because you want money. The money that you die and leave. Just because you want a car. The car that you die and leave. Just because you want a house. The house that you definitely die and leave. So life is fair. Life is fair. Life is very, very fair. Life is fair. What goes up comes down. What goes around comes back around. It's life. I'm telling you now proverbs that my mother used to tell me. She's like, life, what goes around, comes around. I don't know. These elderly women, they know all kinds of proverbs. My mom would tell you things. She's like, what goes around comes around. So life is fair. Life is fair. I'll repeat again because life is rule governed. If you follow certain rules in life, you discover that life is easy. If you put in the hard work, success will come. If you sacrifice, things will flow. If you hustle and bustle, things, if you stay consistent long enough and you don't give up, you will someday hammer. Life is with rules, consistency, integrity, respect, kindness, and all of that. It's rule governed. Everything you plant, you harvest is rule governed. The next thing is that life looks like a competition, but it's not actually a competition because everybody is unique. What I have, you don't have. And there are things that you have that nobody else can have. Okay? The third thing is that good and bad things happen to us all. It's not like life chooses. The only difference is that sometimes it happens to you earlier on and sometimes it happens to me later on. But good and bad things are sure to happen to us all. And then the last thing is that we all are going to die. So the next time you hear somebody saying, life is unfair and life is unfair and life is unfair, tell them to keep quiet because life is fair. It might look unfair if you focus only on what is happening to you right now. But if you look at it with a panoramic bird's eye view, you discover that there's nothing new under the sun. My name is Rapha Godlove. I hope you've learned something. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.